Should I start? Okay, so our topic is exploring the impact of college support programs on Black academic success. And this presentation will be by Florence Vadanovo,
Alani Kirkland,
Jade Bernays,
Jaden Marshall.
Croy Stewart.
Our main focus is finding the ratio between how successful an individual is becoming from these programs versus how the student was before the programs. We are studying all the possible outcomes of Black excellence through voluntary segregation, examining how Black individuals succeed with voluntary segregation with the focus on education and community. We're targeting how resources and leadership led by Black individuals help with academic success. We're using methods like interviews, academic data, and surveys to seek more stories, patterns, and challenges from individuals who utilize these resources led by Black individuals.
Okay, so the introduction of our topic. The background is Black students have been at a disadvantage in the schooling system and have been facing discrimination, whether it be higher disciplinary rates, a lack of resources, or less educational opportunities. In the past, W.E.D. Du Bois introduced the idea of voluntary segregation. Voluntary segregation encouraged African American children to be taught by African American teachers. So we thought this was important now because we believe if PWIs incorporated that concept of Black resources of helping Black students, then the Black academic success rate will go up. Therefore, we've seen PWIs such as UCLA have resources like the Black Brewing Research Center, which is a short acronym for BBRC, AAP, Academic Advancement Program, to help Black retention and Black academic achievement, defined by a good or high GPA. And the need for research is to determine whether these programs actually help. Our research will be focused on AAP, the Academic Advancement Program, to see if the program actually helps Black students. Wow. Along with that, our research question is how do programs/resources led by Black individuals contribute to academic success within the Black community? A sub-question we have is what other factors can limit Black academic success even when these opportunities are presented, which will be discussed in the limitations. So our hypothesis is the more Black involvement, such as programs and resources provided to Black students, positively impacts them by allowing for increased motivation to graduate or pursue higher education as they see themselves in the education system and receive support from people who look like them or is a POC background. In our study, everyone in the AAP program who is Black will be studied, and we will compare GPAs to Black students who use the AAP resources and Black students who don't use the AAP resources to see if there is a significant difference in academic success measured in GPA. The theoretical framework that we'll be focusing on in the study is the social capital theory, which provides connections and networking which says that connections and networking can provide accessible resources and influence one's future and community. The purpose and significance of this study is we can see how a lack of education and a lack of resources can lead to a higher unemployment rate for Black students. And if there's a link that exists between Black programs to help Black students and academic success, then we can spread it through K through 12 education so Black people can feel more connected at a young age. This can boost the graduation rate, school retention, and Black employment.
Design and methodology. This experiment is going to consist sampling 500 Black undergrad students at UCLA just to see who will respond. We chose only 500 Black students because UCLA population of Black students are extremely scarce because there isn't that many of us, which is 11% to be exact. To have only 11% of Black students at the number one public university in the world is kind of sad when you think of it because you're more than likely to see an international than to see a Black student. We contacted AAP to be able to construct this experiment effectively and be able to get the numbers we need to come to our conclusion about what we're saying is true. Go ahead. It's your part.
This one. We will be using interviews and surveys as our point of methods because this will be the only way that we can plan an event where we can ask our community questions and get honest answers. We will also ask questions that can bring the Black community together by figuring out who has similarities, and we can all stick together and flourish in this environment. We are measuring academics and academic success by their GPA. And the data that we are collecting isn't for everybody, it's just for the Black students. So, yeah.
Literature review. So our first work of literature is School Racial Segregation and the Health of Black Children. This work emphasizes the importance of how racial segregation can and will affect a child's health and school quality. With racial segregation, our project specifies the gap between school racial segregation and how the health of Black children are affected because of the academic challenges they face before being introduced to resources that they can use. Our second work of literature is Collective Self-Esteem in School Segregation in Chilean Secondary Students. This work emphasizes that when students are put into an environment that is positive, then their outcomes will also be positive. It tries to relate to our theoretical framework by describing that the topic of networking and connections can help build an individual's resources that lead them to academic success. Putting students in an environment that is positive, implement good outcomes coming from them. Our third work of literature is The Racial Achievement Gap, Segregated Schools, and Segregated Neighborhoods. This study describes the fact race holds a gap between social and economic circumstances. It refers to how the gap between races and incomes set back a lot of individuals when looking at academic success. A quote that we have is social and economic disadvantage depresses student performance. It expresses that students with different backgrounds and not the right resources can have an effect on how students in their academic success. Our fourth work of literature is Black Segregation Matters. This article tries to emphasize that Black students achieve better when they are in a community of others who look like them. This article refers to how students in Black spaces appreciate how their spaces give them the opportunities to succeed. Connections with how Black voluntary segregation can lead to positive outcomes academic-wise with the right resources being used.
Next, we have the dissemination plan, which is presented to the UCL Dean in at academic conferences. What are the possible outcomes? The first possible outcome is to increase the motivation of development to comparable programs or the information of current ones, thereby boosting assistance for Black academic achievement. The second possible outcome is that it will foster a sense of solidarity, encouraging different races of faculty and students to collaborate with Black-run programs for more exposure and more long-term success. The third possible outcome would be that as different races other than African Americans recognize how Black leaders contribute to Black academic success, it can highlight the diversity of academic talents at a PWI, and which will make Black students feel a sense of belonging, resulting in a more comfortable educational experience. The fourth possible outcome would be that as the UCLA Dean looks at, it will be acknowledging influence of Black-led programs may intensify the intonation of mentorship programs, fostering connections between Black students with Black faculty and alumni, thereby establishing African American support networks within a PWI setting.
So now we're on to the limitations and delimitations. So one of the limitations is students may start speaking highly of the resources because they believe that's what the study wants. This idea is called social desirability bias, which was also discussed in our discussion. Also, the study is limited to UCLA students and is also limited to the major that we are going to select for a study. Along with that, it is challenging to see the long-term effects because they're undergraduate students now, so we're not going to see their future. But we thought of a solution, which could be asking graduate students how these resources help them in their undergraduate journey. It's just hard to do that now because since many of these resources are new, it's hard to ask the graduate students because it might not have been there when they were undergrads. Along with that, there may be people who have low economic status and have other obligations that may influence the study because their academic success can be affected by their external factors, such as having to take care of their family members, having to work multiple jobs. So whether they do or don't participate in the academic programs, their GPA can be affected by that. A delimitation is the study focuses specifically on Black college students at UCLA, and this may limit generalizability beyond this specific context.
Our conclusion includes leadership roles within African American academic programs provide numerous academic opportunities for African American students, migrating the risk of their racial identity, overpowering their intellectual capabilities and instruction, their access to valuable academic sources and opportunities for their future careers. The second concluding statement would be that Black leadership at prominent white institutions creates a robust Black community by providing representation, supporting, obviously, fostering an environment where Black students feel empowered, valued, connected, and comfortable within the PWI setting.
The appendix. The appendices is a few interview questions that we have, which are: have you ever participated in AAP resources provided by UCLA? Have you ever participated in or went to the BBRC to study or use any of its resources? Have you ever participated if you ever participated, what impact has the BBRC had on your GPA or AAP had on your GPA? If you haven't participated, how was your educational experiences like without their resources, and what was your GPA with that? And what is your family income?
And our last slide is just our references that we use. That includes all our literature reviews. And we did add a couple more, which is the African Student Union, the BBSA at UCLA, and the Black Burn Resources. And that concludes our project. Thank you, and thank you for listening.